Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon if you're in the Ontario and beyond. My name is Dr. Deirdre Pickerel. I am the Dean of Student Success for Yorkville University and Toronto Film School, and on behalf of the Student Success team, I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's Ask an Expert session. So each week at this time, we're very proud to host community experts speaking on a wide range of topics, all focused on supporting our students during their studies and beyond. Our expert will offer some brief thoughts on an area of focus, their area of expertise, and then we will take some questions, which can be submitted through the Q&A option at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I understand today's speaker also has some things for you to be doing, so you can also use the chat. Today, I am absolutely honored and thrilled to welcome Dr. Iman Nasser, who is the Associate Dean of Business at Yorkville University's British Columbia campus. Dr. Iman specializes in innovation management, operations, and supply chain. For over a decade, she has taught in universities both within and outside of Canada, published research in reputable academic outlets, and enjoyed senior academic administration positions. Today, Dr. Iman is speaking on what lies beyond the computer screen in remote learning, which is a very timely topic for so many of our students given the COVID-19 pandemic and how that has changed so many aspects of our lives. So Dr. Iman, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pickerel, for your generous introduction, and thank you so much for hosting me today and for inviting me to this wonderful series. I really I haven't been meeting my students for quite some time, so I really appreciate this opportunity to connect and to maybe not see them, but at least connect with them and hear about their thoughts and speak to them. Like these opportunities are really appreciated these days. So thank you so much for hosting me today. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and the little thing that I have prepared for today. I really think that maybe remote learning is not new anymore to our students. Now they might be the real expert to ask today, as a matter of fact. I'm sure that everybody by now know what remote learning is. And again, now that the chat is enabled, I'm welcoming everyone from our attendees to share their thoughts through the chats. Please make sure that any question you may have is into the Q&A so that we don't mix questions with thoughts or responses or comments. So so what is remote learning? And I think by now most of us, perhaps likely all of us, know that remote learning is learning remotely, learning with distance. But how does that look like? Is it just going to the class and sitting very far at the end? Is that remote learning? Is that how you you would be remote? Some people think that remote is kind of mental. It's the mind. My mind is not in the class. My mind is remote. So then I'm engaging in remote learning. Of course, these all are not the real thing behind remote learning. But it's really learning synchronously online, like being live in a class, learning without being in a physical class that we may have been used to for most part. So today, to speak about remote learning, there's 4 main pillars here that I would like to talk about. The process, which again may not bring anything new, but I'm going to try to share some more insights into this. The culture of the remote learning process, like what culture are we perceiving, what culture have we created, and what culture do we want to create. Then I want to speak about the learner's personality. What person are you? How is your personality like, and how should it be with that within that remote environment? Should it change at all? Should you just be the same thing, the same attitude that you used to be, or should something be changing here to make sure that this process is the most effective for yourself and for your learning and education? And finally, I will end with some relationship implications, and this is likely something that that really some of us are suffering from: relationships. How can we manage relationships within the educational environment, with that remote learning, relationships with peers, with teachers, with even administration and services and stuff like that. So I will be touching upon these. I know I have around maybe 12 minutes or so I'm going to try to make it as short as I can, as precise as I can, and of course you're welcome to ask any questions throughout the presentation. So the first thing is, where is my class? So speaking of about the process. Does everybody by now know where their classes are? Oh, I'm sure you do. It has been almost a month, so I'm not going to advise you. You know what? Go to the Moodle, click on the link. I know that you know this, very well by now. Are you actually attending class? I don't know, but you know where the class is. So by now you must know where the classes are and how they're running. And is anybody zoomed out from all of the Zooms that they've been doing with peers and groups and classes and maybe even family and friends? I'm zoomed out myself because I can't tell you how many Zooms I'm having every day. So it has become somehow a lot perhaps to manage. Now the question is, how are you going to your class, and whether really are you going to the class even, or is the class coming to you? How do you feel about that? Again, please share your thoughts here with me on the chat. With all of that flexibility that's given, it's just a simple click that you go to the class. Are you feeling that the class is now coming to you wherever you are? So you could be at work, the class can come to you. You could be like this young lady here, maybe driving a car, the class is coming to you because it's just accessible through a device. Is this really how you're feeling about your class? I really hope not. Although it's flexible and it's accessible and it's easy and all that sort of stuff, you still have to be the person going to the class. And as I speak, a lot of points from different slides are going to connect together. So one of the points I will raise later is about the attitude of actually yourself going to the class. So look at this young gentleman and sitting well dressed, looks very attentive, the glasses are on, wonderful background. He might be in Hawaii or something, maybe Maldives, I don't know, or that might be a virtual background as well. Like, again, we don't know, but here is a big challenge. So that person has gone to class, that lady driving the car and thinking that through a device she's attending the class. Well, that's not attending the class, right? Although it's easy and accessible, but it's not really coming to you in that sense. So here's one challenge for that gentleman. Starts attending the Zoom class, an hour passes, 2 hours, 3 hours. Then comes the next class, another 4th hour, 5th, 6th hour. Now, how do you think that young gentleman is going to feel like? Similar to you by the end of your 2nd consecutive class? How would you feel? Do you feel that you're tired? You're maybe aging a little bit, like it almost looks like a long time has passed from the first beginning of the first class until the end of the last class, and you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm losing my hair, I'm growing old, like it's been so long. So how do you handle this? How do you handle that lengthy time in front of a computer screen? Well, we are going to speak about this as well. Take breaks, ask for breaks, stand up, stretch out, move around. This is all okay. There's no problem with that at all. Your teachers have all been trained that they should be giving frequent breaks. But if they don't, and maybe they get taken by all the passion of teaching and all that sort of stuff, you can feel free to ask for breaks and try to make the experience as easy for you as possible. Of course, if you lose your hair, that it's not necessarily a bad thing, because most of us are actually growing longer hair because of the lack of barbershops and hairdressers. But anyways, let's put that aside. So you have to really make sure that you are really going to class, you're attentive, you are alert, you're focused, and anything that might distract you or make you tired, you try to overcome that. The second thing I want to talk about that learning process is about information. And again, I'll touch upon this briefly afterwards as well. Where is the information? Where do I get the information? So again, with remote learning, the way that you are obtaining the information might be slightly different. You are losing here a little bit on, you're not bumping into a professor in the hallways anymore. You are not having extra time with your professor after class anymore. So, all of those questions that you used to ask your peer when you see them in the lounge, hey, by the way, when was the assignment? And then when was the assignment due? And then they tell you, oh, in a couple of hours, and you run and you do, like, these are going to be different, and these have become different a little bit. The information is in the system, and you have to be the one who's fetching for the information, obtaining the information, at least finding the right person to ask in the right time. So where the information is hosted may have become a little different. It's not just, whomever you meet randomly in the hallway and ask them the question. It is now in the system. Everybody knows Moodle by now. pretty much all of the course information is in Moodle. So things like assignments, details, deadlines, instructions, anything like that. Even information about maybe a class time, the teacher's going to start a little late tomorrow, that's going to be under announcements. Like, so knowing that the information is now into the system, and knowing that you have to create that link between yourself and the system a little bit stronger than before, because now this should be the main source of information for you, the system, the Moodle, where knowing that information is there is very, very important. And finally here about the process is, how do I take notes, and how do I study, and has this changed really? Is anything from that changing? Well, it can, but it doesn't have to. So you can still grab your notebook, you can still have your pen and pencil, have them and take notes and be engaged with just normal writing. But of course, and that's something I'll touch upon in the next slides as well, there could be now more tools for you. Actually, now that you are sitting in front of the computer screen anyways, you might as well open up something that's called OneNote and start organizing, better organization for your notes and for your studies and for your even group work and stuff like that. And then that is going to perhaps live a little longer with you. So if you need to review a math question from previous term and it's stored there on a computer, then you can fetch it anytime pretty much in your life, as long as that file exists on your folders. So so your notebook and your studying habits may not change that much, but now as you get more comfortable with using computers, apps, systems, then maybe you can find other tools, and we will also talk about this. So there hasn't been a huge change in how you may study, or how you can take notes, or how can you, do the homework. These may have not changed that much, but perhaps now could be a good time for you to explore more tools to help you with your studying, whether it's in organization and time management, or is in actual taking notes and actual, writing down of the information and saving it and fetching it afterwards. So, and then the second thing I would like to talk about today is the remote learners, the remote learning culture. So when we speak about culture, the first thing that comes to mind is perception. So culture is always about perception. How are you seeing things? What are you believing about things? So how are you seeing remote learning? Are you seeing it positively, negatively? Are you seeing it's the same, nothing, not much has changed? Or are you seeing that it's turning your life into a night? Like, it's really how you are perceiving. And just to give you an idea about what perception means, it's again, the belief, how you see something that's happening. It could be happening the same for me and you, but we are just seeing it differently. So think about your grandma chasing you with food, for example. Some people are seeing this as being overly forceful and annoying, and that's a bother, but others see it as incredible care and loving, and this is a person that's so motherly with, like, so it's the same action, but how are you taking it? How are you perceiving it? So that's the first question, is about how you are really, what you believe about the learning process, and how you are seeing this. So how are you perceiving the materials? How are you perceiving the activities that are done in the remote class? How are you seeing them? And again, please share your thoughts in the chats. Are you seeing they're great? Are you seeing they're engaging and they're fun? Or are you seeing that, these are not that meaningful? You would have expected better. And of course, your feedback is always going to give us ideas about how are you perceiving your professors? Are you seeing them as, knowledgeable, and they have been well trained, well prepared for that new learning environment? Or are you seeing that, why is this person even in business? So there's a common joke that says, it's from a perspective of a teacher that says, what, I don't think I'm crazy because I'm teaching, but maybe I'm crazy because I love it. So I just want you to be sure that all of your teachers love their teaching. They're so passionate about it. But we also are interested to know about your perceptions about that new mode of delivery. So the other thing about, perhaps related to perception, how are you perceiving the formality of that new mode? Are you seeing, again, that it's now it's becoming a little more casual? I can do what I want at whatever time, and I can kind of get away with it? Or are you seeing that it's just as formal as a real class? I'm hoping for the latter, actually. The level of formality has not really has not and should not be changing, even though there's more flexibility and accessibility. But the level of formality is not, like, you just imagine that myself and, let's say, the VPA and maybe the president and, all, other senior managers, there's senior administration for the institution are coming in a meeting, right? It's on Zoom. Now imagine that one person appears in their pajamas, for example. Like, you really, can you imagine how that may look like? Like, of course, it's not formal, it's not professional. And, even though the meeting is taken to the Zoom, nothing about the formality has changed. With the COVID lockup and all that sort of stuff, we think we have more time, we have more flexibility. There is more time for us to exercise at home. There's more time for us to sleep at home. But hopefully you don't do that during class. Here's a gentleman who's really enjoying his online class. And just falling asleep. So are you that person, or are you the very first person that I showed who's sitting, who's focused, who's alert? So get more sleep time, get more exercise time, and just try not to do it during the class. So just to understand that the level of formality, it's still a formal class. It still has to be treated the same way as if you're actually physically in class. And the last thing about the culture here, because I have a belief or perception that technology is a culture. So again, your class is online. Does that mean that you have to be a geek in technologies? Does this mean that you really need to have sophisticated knowledge about, programming or knowing the details of technologies or anything like that? The answer is absolutely not. Any tool that was developed to help us as users is developed for a user. So someone who doesn't know how it was developed, doesn't know the technical details, but just knows how to use it. Just like MS Word, and just like MS Excel, and just like Zoom and MS Teams. So how is technology playing a role here? Well, technology is playing a role perhaps the same way it is always. It's just a tool. It's just providing tools for you. This is a good time for you to learn and use them, because you've lost other ways of interactions. But you don't need to create barriers. As a matter of fact, you need to break any barriers between yourself and technology. You need to think about this as an opportunity for you to learn more things. And maybe technology is a big word anyways. Let's just call them apps. So, same way that you would use, Facebook, I don't know, TikTok, is that what it's called now? That's the one in fashion now, TikTok. Well, how about OneNote? How about MS Teams? How about Google Keep? For note taking, and whatever is a time planning app that you can use. Like, how about these things as well? It doesn't take time to learn. It's not that sophisticated, but this is a good time for you to create in yourself some sort of technology culture. So could be just, it's very, very simple. You just break barriers with technologies, if there were any. I'm sure that most of you are already using them, but why not getting comfortable, drawing on a computer, scanning work, editing PDFs. Might sound like a lot, but believe me, it's super simple. Editing a PDF or drawing on a computer or tablet screen. So this is really the time to create that technology culture, or maintain it, and and break any barriers between yourself and technology, because that's going to allow you to be a very effective remote learner. Off to the third thing about learners' personality. I'll try to, go a little quicker here. The first thing that I would love to see changing, or maybe it's already there, just being maintained, being strengthened, is yourself as a learner becoming a leader. So what do I expect you to lead? Canada? Burnaby, Vancouver, Toronto? No, I don't expect you to lead in that way. I need you to lead your own learning. I need you to, take ownership, take leadership. So how do I do that? Well, now, and again, because of whatever that you may think was lost from the physical classroom, this is the time for you to take the initiatives, ask the questions, and answer questions live in class. Be alert. Are you attending office hours? How many of you, this is a good time to please answer my question, like, how many of you are attending office hours? So are you attending office hours? Just please tell me on the chat. Have you ever attended office hours? Like, we make sure that professors make themselves available, but where are the people, where are the students? Are you all perfectly having no questions, or are you, maybe falling a little behind on studying? Now, this is the time to be leading your own self, be leading your own learning, in ways that maybe you haven't done before, or maybe you've done before and you can enhance. So do you know about all the resources at Yorkville? Have you used them? Are you asking questions in class? Are you, active and taking notes? And so you really need to be your own self's leader. You need really to lead your learning. Remember those instances where your teacher keeps chasing you. Where's the assignment? You haven't submitted. And then you go back and you go like, don't you ever read your email? Well, you shouldn't be submitting on your email anyways, but that's how some of us may think, like, what's that crazy teacher saying? I've sent her an email. Um, don't wait for teachers to chase you. You have to lead your own learning. Back to the information. So maybe that's also related to being a leader. Information fetching. Are you going to sit there and wait for someone to tell you the information, or are you going to go around and ask? So ask, when is the final exam? When is the assignment? Well, if or get the information. You don't really have to ask. Find the information, fetch the information, go to the Moodle, find the assignment due dates, find the details and instructions of the assignment. Who are my group members? Start contacting them yourself. Start chasing them if needed, and leading them if needed, and following up on emails, all that sort of stuff. So be an information fetcher. So be a leader, be an information fetcher, and absolutely be a communicator. So with the remote thing, this becomes key here, because we've lost at least one method of communication. That corridor, hallway, lounge sort of chats are gone. So how are you going to communicate? You have to be, again, initiating communications, sending emails. MS Teams is a wonderful communication tool. Use it, download it and use it. Why not? Again, whenever you need to initiate something or follow up on something. And finally, the last thing here I want to talk about is the attitude. And again, that goes straight to the personality. What attitude are you coming to the class with? Are you here because you have to be here? You need to mark attendance and maybe go away? It's very easy to click a button and attend class, but it's also easy to click a button and leave the class. So what attitude are you bringing in? Are you there just because of the attendance is taken, or why else are you there? And just sharing with you, this is kind of speaking to the ease of attending or leaving. The ease of, this is how we used to skip classes. Not me, I never really, I promise, I'm not lying. I promise, I never skipped classes. But, some bad people, that's how they used to skip classes, although they look like they're coming out of prison. But, let's assume that that's a gate of a school, and this is how they are skipping class. Now, how are you able to skip class with remote learning? This is how you'd skip class with remote learning. Isn't that easier? Much easier. Just mute yourself, turn off the video, boom, you left the class, right? And nobody can notice. So, it's very, very easy. But is that what you really want to do? Like, this is hopefully not what you want to do. So yeah, so all of that flexibility depends how you want to see it. Now, the last item on my agenda was relationships, and I now would like to invite chats actually about what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about relationship building and relationship maintaining. So maintaining relationships, creating and maintaining relationships with your teacher, peers, administration. How do you think? I want to hear from you. How do you think you can actually create relationships, although you may not be seeing the people physically? What do you think are some ways to create relationships with your teacher? Please share whatever thoughts that you may have, and you can feel free to connect them to some of the things I talked about. And I'm just looking through a different screen here to some of the items I've talked about. So for example, technology could be a keyword here. Some items in personality should be keywords here. So I talked about leadership, information fetching, communication, attitude. what items there are important for creating relationships and maintaining relationships? Well, absolutely communication, right? Send emails, follow up on emails, share your thoughts, create groups, create maybe with your peers WhatsApps or Teams or things, and keep the conversation going. So by all means, just keep the conversation going. How are you going to make yourself visible? How is the teacher going to know you by name? So in a normal classroom, they would see you, it's easy to put faces into names. But how would you make yourself visible otherwise? That becomes very key here. Ask questions in class and answer questions in class, and attend whenever it's applicable, attend these office hours. So make yourself visible in multiple ways, and make sure that you communicate by all means that you can, making yourself present and visible at all times. That's how you would maintain it. So communication here is absolutely key. This is my last slide. It's going to take a few seconds only, and that's just after everything I said, I just want to make sure that everybody knows where to draw a line and stop. Like, we're sitting at home all day long. And that borderline between home and work has become very blurry. So maybe you want to know how to draw that line and say, okay, now it's time for me to rest. Now it's time for me to stop. Now it's time for me to separate home from school, even though school could be at home. So just know, where to put that stoppage, because that's very important for your health as well and for your well-being. And
So,
that's
Iman,
all I have. Let me. Okay, Dr. Pickerel, we lost you. Or did I lose everyone? Hello? Hello there. I lost everyone. Was it me? Hello there. Yep, I think, yeah, I can hear you now, Dr. Pickerel.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's funny. I've got all sorts. We can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you in the chat. So everybody is letting us know that we could, and I could still hear you. So, Dr. Iman, I wanted to thank you. I think you can see that there's been a lot of action in the chat, but participants may not, because the default is that the chat messages go directly just to the panelists. So, a couple of things. One student did note early on that I think we have time to just send this your way, is that so that sometimes the online campus, so Moodle, that some students still struggle to find, all of the ways that they can access information in Moodle. And so I don't know if you have any comment on that. One of the things that I had picked up, because that question came in right at the same time when you said technology is not supposed to be a barrier to learning. So that I don't know if you have any advice for students.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so if this is about the usage of technology, I guess there's two things here. There's learning the systems for your particular institution. So how Yorkville is operating and where the course is, where the information is. There is a student orientation that kind of walks you through this, and we have our student advisors and who would be able to, certain service department who are able to help you in case that maybe the orientation was some time ago or you didn't catch some of the things there. But overall, the Moodle is where all of the course material and course information is hosted. So depending on what kind of information you're finding difficulty finding, but things like, for example, assignments, readings, due dates, elements of the course, and even most of the messages, if not all of the messages from your instructors, should be coming also in Moodle. So we have the important announcements, and any announcement or information should be going there. For our online students, there's going to be forums to interact with their peers, and so on and so forth. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think so. In the end, I think that students, need to always remember to ask for the help that they need. And, obviously there's IT and there's program advisors and there's instructors. And, sometimes we recognize that an instructor might be teaching 2 or 3 sections. So they might be taking care of, 50, 60, 70 students, depending on the program that they're in. So you may not get an answer to an email like 30 seconds later, and, so just give your faculty and some time. But, they are committed to supporting students. So the other question that's come in, Dr. Iman, is Moodle mobile, and are you aware that whether or not YU's Moodle site is configured for the mobile?
I'm not 100% sure. I do not think that we have the Moodle for the mobile just yet. We've always assumed, or maybe try to push students not to try to do their work over a mobile device, and that's for multiple reasons. It's very difficult to finish a degree on a mobile. I don't think it's even possible. So we are trying, likely, if, like, again, I'm sorry that I'm not 100% sure. I do not think, the last time I checked was maybe a couple of years ago, whether or not we have the Moodle on the phone configured. I wouldn't necessarily think we do as of now. But overall, if we don't, then that's likely for a reason that we do not want people doing their assignments on the phone. However effective Moodle tries to create an app on the phone, something is going to be missed. Like, you really want to make sure that you are in front of a computer, you are using all of the capabilities of a computer when you are doing your assignment, when you are looking for the information. You may be needing to use multiple apps or programs at the same time. So trying to go to a mobile for Moodle may not be the most effective way for learning anyways. So yeah, so I would highly advise that that people try to do the work and get the information from a computer screen rather than a mobile device.
Yeah, that would tend to be we had somebody pop in saying, but it can be really handy. And so I think that is a real demonstration, Dr. Iman, that learning becomes a very personal activity. And so what works for one learner, what is may not work for another learner. But ultimately, from your area of expertise, and I would have to say, I would agree that doing your coursework in Moodle is just going to present an additional challenge. And so if technology already is a bit of a barrier, then Moodle mobile may certainly not be the way to go.
Well, I just want to add something here about technology as well, because being a fan of technology, honestly, like, I like using apps and I like using it all the time. But for myself, I always say that we have to draw a line between what technologies to use and what not to. So it doesn't mean because it's there and others are using it, then it's a good idea for us. And that's the line that we have to, like, until today, for example, I do not have a Facebook account, like, crazy me, and I claim to be a technology person. But at the end of the day, this is a decision that needs to be done. It's not just going crazy, whatever is out there, we adopt it. It's really making an educated decision about what to adopt and what, like, that adoption decision is huge in the literature. What technology to adopt and why? Like, do we really think that, generally speaking, and for the wide Yorkville audience, is it creating that much value, or could it be actually impeding their learning? Because if people start depending on it on the phone, what are they losing there? And the thought be more losses than gains when people are pushed to the phone to do their work.
Right, for sure. So I'm really conscious of time. We might have to do another one of these, Dr. Iman. We've had lots of questions come in, lots of information in the chat. Just as a quick summary, that we've had students share that their teacher created formed groups of people that kind of lived geographically close, and that's worked really well. Reminder to upload your profile picture and fill out your profile in Moodle, because it helps to get to know you, for students to get to know each other and for faculty to get to know you. If you're in a fully online program, such as the one of our graduate programs, there's a student lounge in every class. And so if you're building your relationships with each other, you can use the student lounge for off-course topic conversations. Dr. Iman has mentioned OneNote. We could do a session just on OneNote. She is a OneNote expert. And so I think we could all learn a lot from that, and using MS Teams and, using technology really effectively, and not allowing it to be a barrier is I think the, a key message that I've heard from you today, Dr. Iman, and also asking for the help that you need. There's a whole team of people that students may never see that are here to offer services and supports, and we're doing our best to answer questions really quickly as best we can. There's a lot of students that might need support at any given time, but we are there, and we are, we're certainly here for students. So oh, somebody's just posted, Dr. Iman, that there's a rumor that OneNote's going to be discontinued. So you might have to start a petition of, keep OneNote. Anyways, I really appreciate the level of engagement we've had today from everybody. Don't forget that we do this session every Friday. How busy you are, and so I deeply appreciate you taking the time today to share with us your thoughts on what lies beyond that computer screen, and offering some really important tips and strategies for being successful in remote learning. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for taking the time to come and talk to us today, and enjoy your day, enjoy your long weekend. I wish you all the best. Remember to be well, be kind, and be safe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.